Hello, my name is Felton Kinchin. I am an entertainment business master major, and this is Terrence Howard and Iron Man 2. That's the best way I can bring that intro in. All right. All right. Well, as we know, Terrence Howard was the first actor to actually play Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes. He was a War Machine. Well, he wasn't necessarily War Machine in the first film, but he was to become War Machine in Iron Man 2. He was the sidekick of Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr. Jon Favreau was the director. He also played in other movies like Couples Retreat, The Breakup, and Daredevil. I'm assuming the negotiation consisted of only Terrence Howard and his agent, and Jon Favreau and the Marvel team itself. So pretty much the conflict was was money. They were negotiating a deal that was allegedly already in motion. According to Terrence Howard, he'd already had a three-picture deal with Marvel. He was paid $4.5 million for the first film, which was higher than any role in the movie, including Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Not only was he supposedly receiving that, he was supposed to receive an additional $8 million for the sequel. However, things took a turn for the worse, and he was unexpectedly replaced by actor Don Cheadle. Oh no, not Spaceman, not Spaceman from Sunset Park. Now, here are some things that the Marvel team was bargaining. They were requesting that Terrence Howard receive a lower pay, a lower dock in pay that he was already originally agreed upon. You see, Terrence was not only the highest paid actor on the first of the series, he was the first to sign on to the deal. So, receiving a lower pay, I could see this revision, confusing Terrence, initially. However, he all he was simply requesting was just his original offer, which was $8 million for that second sequel. For that sequel, excuse me. Now, some underlying interests that were implied in this ordeal. Jon Favreau, he was having problems with Terrence Howard on set, allegedly, and was already thinking about lowering the significance of the role of Colonel Rhodes as an entirety. According to Entertainment Weekly, once Marvel's team caught wind of this, they immediately went to Terrence Howard's agent to renegotiate the payout. They just simply wanted to pay out what they thought was fair for a supporting role. Terrence Howard, he wasn't seeing it that way. His interest was just receiving what was originally promised to him in his contract for the first film, and then expecting the $8 million for the sequel, and another payout for the third film, which was obviously not discussed. Alright, so there were many negotiation techniques displayed in this deal, but we're going to focus on about three. So we know Jon Favreau was having problems with Terrence Howard on set, and this was already building up to the negative emotions during the negotiation of Iron Man 2. They were already considering lowering the significance of the role entirely. So yeah, the $8 million that they promised him, we want to lower that down to about $1 million. And according to Business Insider, they came to Terrence Howard stating, "Look, we're going to pay you 1/8 of what we contractually had for you because we think the second one will be successful with or without you." So, what a negative way to come across in a negotiation. After refusing this offer, Marvel simply went for a recast for the role, and that's when they hired Don Cheadle as the new War Machine. And apparently this was news to Terrence Howard. He stated that this was a surprise of a lifetime, and also that promises weren't kept, and good faith negotiations aren't always held up. The contract just upped and vanished. This was what was considered a dirty trick in my book which leads to his backup plan. Because as a result, Terrence Howard went back to school, received a doctorate in chemical engineering, and now he pretty much grows synthetic diamonds. So granted, it might not be the check that he would have wanted with Iron Man and its success today, but it's another step forward in his career. So, what went well with this negotiation, regardless regardless of what the outcome was, I'd have to say that there was a level of understanding on both parties. Terrence Howard, after making his decision, he knew where he stood with Jon Favreau and the Marvel team as soon as he was offered, the $1 million. And, when he refused that offer, Marvel and Jon Favreau, they knew where they stood with Terrence Howard. So, I mean, if anything, that's probably a good thing to understand when you're in a negotiation, that things are just not going to go your way because of who that person is, who you're actually talking to. So I can consider that something that went well in the negotiation. Now, things that went wrong in the negotiation is a whole nother story. One of the main focuses that I was on was communication. Communication was a big problem to me. You can't really have situations where you're having trouble with your actors or your employees on any job, and then you go behind their back with the higher ups and try to undercut them while they're not looking. I think that was very shady and very dirty on Jon Favreau and the Marvel team. But also, if you think about it, Terrence Howard, I don't know how he was on set, but maybe he could have come across a better way with a better attitude during negotiation, and maybe they would have had a better standing and foundation coming into the negotiation. Another thing that I noticed was that when you have two commanding style negotiators going back and forth, trying to get what they want, things may not turn out the way that you expect them to. Both commanding negotiators may walk away with nothing at all and nothing to show for it, and all they have is just their backup plan. So overall, there really wasn't an agreement reached. Marvel team, they decided to can Terrence Howard, and they went with Don Cheadle, and Terrence Howard went his own way. There weren't really any relationships that came out of this. Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr., I would say that they were friends, but according to Terrence Howard in an interview, he tried reaching out to him, but he never got a response, like ever. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up the entire negotiation. For the record, I'm a huge fan of Terrence Howard. I love all of the work that he's been a part of. Um, but I love me some Marvel movies. And Don Cheadle is the man as well. So I'll leave that on that note. Thank you, and thank you for watching.